Well, welcome back, ladies. Can we talk? This is Debbie Georgatos, and this is the most fast and fun 2 hours of my week doing this radio show. In my second hour leading ladies this week, I'm joined by Jenny McGarry and Carrie Kellerman.
Good evening.
Hi, girls.
Hi.
And we have a guest in the studio tonight. She's a candidate for U.S. Congress from Congressional District 32 from Texas, CD 32. Her name is Cherie Roughneen, and it's fun to have her right here in the studio. Hi, Cherie.
Hi, Debbie. Thank you for inviting me.
So glad you're here. So glad you're running for Congress. I love this. There are three challengers, three primary challengers to the incumbent who's in CD 32. And I've had the two others on the show, and I want to be sure and have Cherie on too. And just tell us, now, say, Cherie is you can't see because this is radio. She's a lovely woman, and politics is can be, I enjoy it, but it can be a little bit rough and tumble. So why did you get into this race for Congress?
I've been a constituent in CD 32 for the last 16 years and have been in Texas since 1972. And I'm not happy with the direction our country is going in. We have out of control regulations. Our laws and regulations are not enforced. Our national security is threatened on all fronts. Our borders are not secure. We have an illegal immigration problem, big time. We have resettlement of refugees from unfriendly nations, and our debt and deficit is out of control. Our health care is in shambles with the Affordable Care Act that was passed, and it has hurt more people than it has helped. Our politicians are not listening to us. And as I go around and talk to people, I hear about how they are hurting. Our middle class is in decline. Our politicians are listening to corporations and lobbyists, and when it comes to laws being passed, whatever the constituents say, whatever the citizens say, it's like they've turned a blind eye, and they don't hear us, they don't see us, and that has troubled me to where I feel like this is the time where we have to say, okay, you've been in office, our elected representative has been in office 20 years come November. I'd like to see him term limited.
Mm-hmm. Well, we sure love term limits on this show. I'm in favor of them term limits for really state and federal level, and frankly, even our justices. So it is interesting because I think we hear from the GOP establishment in Washington. I mean, every issue you raise, Cherie's exactly right. We've talked about all of them in the show. My litany I went through in the first hour, my Speak Up for America segment mentioned all those. But I think the GOP would say, well, what could we possibly do? We had a Democrat president. We didn't even have a majority in the House and Senate the whole time. And they kind of act like they're doing the best they can do. So, but you don't buy that.
I don't buy that. We gave them the House of Representatives and the Senate. They had a majority. And we are no further ahead. They do not communicate their ideas. They do not listen to us. All they keep saying is, well, help us win the election. And then we will pass laws and we'll send it to the president. Now, send us a Republican president. It's not going to happen. They, history has shown that they're not doing their job. We need to bring them back.
I have had the thought when I hear the Republicans in Washington say, well, what are we going to do? So what they're saying is if Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders or Mayor Bloomberg wins this presidential election, we'll have another 4 years of complete Republican capitulation. They're kind of admitting that.
Of course they are. And you know what? I came to this country in 1972. We came with barely $59 in my parents' pocket. And we live the American dream. And if we don't stand up and believe in the Constitution of the United States, in free capitalism, free markets, jobs for our citizens, secure borders, stop trying to nation build others, cut all the waste in our government. If we don't do that, we are going to have socialism take root in this country. And that is a frightening thought to me. And that is why I threw myself into the race.
Cherie, I would like to ask a question of you. First of all, tell our listeners where you came from, and then tell them, please, a little bit about what you have been involved with since you've been in recently. What do you do as a living?
I came, like I said, in 1972 with my family, and we left a country called Burma at that time, that's now called Myanmar. And we left a socialist dictatorship, and the country was run by a military junta. And we left that. We left everything. And we didn't get government subsidies. We didn't get a government handout. We all went to work. We kept our head down, and we have lived the American dream. And I want jobs for our citizens. Mm-hmm. I want a better America for my child and her children, my grandchildren someday. I want it for all the citizens of America. Our founding fathers gave us a roadmap, the Constitution of the United States. They gave us the Bill of Rights. They gave us, we the people, the power, not the government. Power doesn't come from government to the people. Mm-hmm. We have to be very, very mindful. The primary election is so important. People come out and they say, oh, I only vote for president. No. Because the elected representatives that you send to Washington, D.C., to the state capitol, to the Capitol, federal government, we, the people, have to take the privilege that we have in the vote that we cast very, very seriously.
And what is it you've been involved with? I mean, what do you do?
I have been in healthcare. I've always been in healthcare all of my life. My parents are physicians. We must be about 13, 14 physicians in the family. I became a nurse. I married a doctor. And when this Affordable Care Act, they started talking about it, we were absolutely adamant that that was not going to be good for the country. But nevertheless, we got it, and more people have been hurt than helped. And this healthcare law it's so bad. Every day I talk to people, and they tell me I cannot afford the premiums. They lose their job, they lose their health insurance, and then they can't afford to get the Obamacare and the health exchange because they still can't afford it. Mm-hmm. So they say, well, I'd rather take the penalty and pay the tax.
Yeah. I should mention, Cherie mentioned about people who say only vote in the general election. And if any of these of our listeners have ever said that, or you know people who do, please understand, most elections in America are decided in the primary. Mm-hmm. The congressional seats by March 1st in Texas, when our primary happens, the election's over. If you vote in the fall, there's going to be someone on the Republican side and some on the Democrat side, but your district is going to go either Republican or Democrat, whatever is done historically. So your election, if you actually care, is on March 1st. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow, February 1st, happens to be the last day to register to vote. You can still register and vote in this primary in CD32 and the presidential primary. I'm sorry to interrupt your interview, but I meant to mention that before we started. So Cherie, I was going to mention, Cherie is married to Dr. Patrick Roughneen, who has been on this show. He is just a very strong and articulate advocate against Obamacare, has testified, has, given workshops and town halls, talking with people, trying to help people understand that socialized medicine decreases the quality of health care. So I would think that's especially a big issue to you.
Oh, definitely. And when I worked with the patients in the office and all of that, it would be heartbreaking because they can't find the doctors that take the Obama exchange insurances. They can't find the hospital that'll take the insurances. So for being covered with insurance, they're still no better off because they don't have the doctor, and then they don't have a place to go. Mm-hmm. And so this is something that because every single citizen, healthcare is from the time of conception till the end of life. Mm-hmm. And we have to make sure we have the best healthcare system in the world. We need to change the way we're doing business. We have so many monopolies. Healthcare corporations are getting bigger and bigger. Then they're going to become too big to fail, and we can't have that.
Ms. Roughneen, I have a couple of questions. How long have you been in the race?
I jumped in at the last minute. December 9th was the deadline to put my name in as a candidate. And that was a Monday, and on that Friday, I thought about it, and I just told my husband, I said, I've got to get in. I've got to do something. I've just got to jump into it. And I'm self-funding mostly. I have now a website, www.cherieforcongress.com. And if anybody wants to try to give me some money, that's great. And if they don't,
campaigns do cost money.
So
Yes,
have you started going door to door? Have you started talking to the constituents or anything like that? And how has that been for you as far as meeting one-on-one with constituents and hearing what their concerns are? I know Obamacare is a huge issue. And I hear about it more and more every day, between the fact that their premiums are so high for them to even meet their deductible, and also the fact that very few doctors or dentists even take coverage from Obamacare, and with also the health insurance companies that are jumping out. The big thing is also going to be our day-to-day lives, our concerns with security. What are you hearing on the streets?
Oh, everybody's very excited. It even surprises me and shocks me that they're so excited that I'm running for Congress. They just want change. They are tired of all this bickering that's going on. Everyone is just very unnerved. They're just very, very unhappy. And as soon as they hear that, anyone, they say, I'm for you. I said, okay, great. And they all have that same mood.
That we're ready for a change. We're speaking this evening with Cherie Roughneen, who is running for U.S. Congress in CD 32 in North Texas. There are 3 people in the primary, and Cherie mentioned before, but I want to be sure our listeners get it. Her first name is Cherie, Cherie, and your website for your campaign is
www.cherieforcongress.com.
And she's running in CD 32, and if you're listening to the show, you certainly are very possibly in CD 32. This is the kind of North Dallas, North Texas district that is currently held by Pete Sessions, and there are a lot of people agitating for change, and I'm grateful that Cherie came in tonight. We are about ready to go off to our break, but is there anything else you want to quick tell our listeners about how to get a hold of you?
Yes. Please email me at Cherie, Cherie, Roughneen, Roughneen, @gmail.com, or get on my website, or get on Facebook. I'm on Facebook. Send me a message. If you need yard signs, you want to talk to me, I am available 24/7. Call me in the middle of the night, too. That's fine. You know why? Because I'm a nurse, and I'm used to the phone going off.
Well, that was a brave thing to say on air. All right. Cherie, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Debbie.